as a Black woman who has dated white men in the past, these are some of the things that I've faced and heard in my relationships. One of them, my first white boyfriend always made comments about my hair, especially when I changed it, or maybe it was just like getting it done. I was wearing weaves, and I remember the first time he had touched it, and he was just like, oh. I got really insecure about it, and so I would never let him touch my hair when we were being physical or just anytime. He'd be like, I don't understand why you have to wear fake hair. I was like, this isn't fake, it's human. So another time, he actually invited me to his parents' house, and I was driving from school, and he was about midway to my home, so I always would try to stop to see him. The first time that he invited me with his parents knowing, I came and we were just hanging out in the basement. Like, I was seeing his childhood through the lens of, his parents' home. And we were just hanging out when his parents got home and we came upstairs. This was really uncomfortable because when we went upstairs, his dad took one look at me and could not look at me for the rest of the night. I had no idea that his dad was racist, but even me just trying to be like, oh, like, do you like this? Or trying to have conversation with him, he would flat out ignore me. This was very uncomfortable. The next day, I told him, like, hey, I think your dad might be racist. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, oh, wow, why would you put me in that situation? And he was like, well, I wasn't 100% sure, but I just wanted to see how he would react. So this was also extremely damaging to my security and self because I had this feeling like, oh, this person chose to be with me. But it was more so just testing how much they could gauge the anger that their parent would feel for them rebelling against their wants. After years of us dating, I was always being snuck into his family house, and I would be snuck out before his dad woke up at a certain time. So I would have to drive home super early in the morning before his dad found out. So we dated for like 4 years, and for that first year, I had met his parents, and then he kept me a secret for like 3 years. And like the last year before we officially broke up, his parents allowed me to come to Christmas dinner. I sat on the couch with him, and I remember like laying on his shoulder, and I remember feeling his dad's eyes just like burning a hole in my skull. And before Christmas, he was like, Dad, I want to bring my girlfriend to our lake house with our cousins. Like, I want her to meet everyone. And his dad was like, you will not embarrass me like that. So I remember like I had all my stuff packed and I was like laying in my bed waiting for him to give me the answer. And he calls me and he's like, I'm sorry, like, you can't come. And he's like, I'm pulled over on the side of the road because I don't know what to do, if I should just turn around and go home. Like, but it's like he chose to go up north and leave me. So now my other partner was another guy that I met in college. This one was like more covert. I actually remember my ex, the first one I was just telling you guys about, flying to Australia. I was doing a study abroad there. And I knew this guy, the second one, from my class, and we would just text and stuff. And he was trying so hard to take on the role that my boyfriend at the time had. And I was just like, I just want to be friends with you. I just want to be friends with you. And it wasn't until I knew like that my first boyfriend was never going to choose, like, he was never going to pick between me and his family, that I finally was like, okay, like, I'm willing to give this other guy a try. Now this other guy was a lot more covert. He actually idolized Black culture. He was obsessed with Tyler the Creator. He loved like all of the fashion and the just a culture vulture. And I was going through such a stressful period because he had convinced me to move to New York with him. And I did. My dad had just bought me a Mercedes to have, and I ended up driving my car to New York. He had convinced me that because I worked in Manhattan and he worked in Brooklyn, that he should be able to drive my car. My dad also gave me like $2,000 that I could have in case of emergency. And he would constantly convince me to use the money that my dad had in savings instead of the money that he made or the money that his parents would give him. So I ran out of money, and I remember one day, like, he was driving my car home from work, and he actually ended up crashing my car. Till this day, he has not paid me a single dime for the damage that he did to my car. And his parents were like, well, insurance should cover it. He also told me that, like, because my mom lived in an apartment, that we were probably just like low income people. And then he ended up like randomly coming down to my mom's apartment and being like, oh wow, this is a lot better than I thought. He had actually said some things like, we live in a nice house, like you live in an apartment. And he would also send me like very damaging texts, like from 6 p.m. or whenever I'd lay my head down to like 6 a.m. in the morning. And they would say things like, I helped heal a black girl. He would also do like really weird abusive behaviors, and then I would like dissociate or detach, and then he would try to have sex with me afterwards. I remember like when we had to come home from New York, I lived with his family, and he didn't want to work like a regular job because he was working to be an artist. And I took on 2 other jobs. So I was like a yoga instructor / working at the front desk. And then I remember I was like training for a restaurant job that would work from like 5 p.m. until maybe 12 midnight. And I came home from my training that night, and he was convinced I was drunk, though I had nothing to drink. Like, I literally drove home, and he lived like 30 minutes from the job. And he like screamed at me and like just was like, you are drunk, I know you're drunk, like yelling at me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm literally sober. I just worked. Like, I'm tired. And when I get tired, my eyes do get really small. I do look a little high, but I promise you guys, like, I was sober. And after I like literally was like, bro, like, I'm so over this, like, I'm going to leave. And he like begged me to stay. So I came back inside, and yeah, he forced himself on me, and I was like, I don't want to have sex. And he like did not care. So I just laid there, and he got so upset with me. He was, I can't even sleep next to you, and like left me in the room to just sit in my nakedness. There's so much more, and if you guys want me to do a part 2, I can. I just noticed that this is getting a little long, but yes, there is a lot that I've endured as a black woman dating white men, and I just don't know if I will ever do it again. Unfortunately, the circumstances would have to be very different.
I just saw a great video by Neighborhood, and I want to like expound on it a little bit. Okay. You cannot have a white spouse and be pro black. And I'm coming to you from experience. Okay. I didn't know that I had self-hatred for myself. That's crazy. Until George Floyd died. George Floyd died, and my white husband did not feel the way I felt. He wasn't angry. He thought it was sad, but he really didn't understand the gravity of seeing it, of one, it happening, and two, the way we saw it. Okay. And it shook me. And at first I was wondering if it was me, if I was being too sensitive. And then the wheels started turning like, no, something else going on here. So I got into therapy, and I'm talking a week later. Okay. And it took me some time. I had to go through some therapists. I went through 3. My 4th one, name was Simon, black man, and he had 2 sessions with me, and he was like, I know what's going on. Okay. I think I know what's going on. Let me ask you a couple questions, okay? And I answered all his questions, and then we both came to the conclusion that I have been trying to assimilate for so fucking long. Okay, and I just been in this white bubble for so fucking long, and I've been trying to just pretend like being black is not being black is not just a race. I can't even describe it. There's so much tied to being a black person. When you learn your history, when you learn about all the shit that your ancestors went through, other people's ancestors went through, just going and living day to day as a person. Okay, not a single black person has woken up, okay, and just had a normal fucking day. White people, they can wake up and have normal fucking days. And they've always been able to wake up and have normal fucking days. You know, they don't have to worry about someone telling them that they aren't good enough to go into a store or can't go into that store because of just how they look. They don't understand shit like that, right? And that is what I understood. That was the fundamental difference between me and my husband was he doesn't, and I love him. I love him still, but he don't know anything about oppression or nothing. And he was a white man. So, and this world is curated for him to be successful, for him to be happy. And it's the exact opposite for me. So when all this is clicking in therapy, okay? And we got a divorce mainly because I still loved him and respected him, but I was not at all. I looked at him and I thought, I saw my self-hatred. I was looking at you like, why aren't you black? Why aren't my children black? And then it was just, and I could never get over it. I could never get over it. Because I was like, listen, and then at the same time I'm in therapy, I'm reading all these books. I'm reading all this. This is when I found Nikki Giovanni in 2019, 2020. And I was obsessed. Her, James Baldwin, I'm in there, you know? And the more I learned about just even some parts of my family, it just felt like betrayal to myself to stay married to him. And it was hard. It was very hard. Very hard. At one point, I thought I was making a mistake, but it turns out it was not a mistake. Because you can't be pro-black and literally, like, marriage is serious, but you're married to the enemy. Literally, you're married to an op, or you're at bare minimum, you are married to someone who can never, ever understand you. Not fully. Even the most pro-black white woman, she'll never get it. She'll never get it. I don't care if she had the worst fucking life. Even if she grew up bumfuck poor in Appalachia and was getting by her fucking uncle, she's still never gonna get it.
I will always be confused by the black woman who ends up in a relationship with a broke white man. Like, why? Like, I get the train of thought and black love that leads us to the different ways of manifesting this building up in a relationship. But when you go to date specifically a white person of European descent that should have the white privilege of the colonizer spirit that exists in their family lineage to uplift themselves in this capitalistic society, how do you end up paying for the nicer things? Because that man couldn't even take you down to the brewery? And please don't confuse me for one of the sprinkle girls. Like, I just seen this young, pretty black woman on my For You page finding out that the white man she was in a relationship a year and a half with was messing around with other women. Most of them being other high-earning black women. And they were providing his lifestyle. There is just something so deeply nefarious about a white man convincing you that he needs to be built up and he is not in graduate school. That man's not in law school. He's not in medical school. How you date a white man and the first time he went to New York was with a trip you financed? There's just something that the whiteness should be providing that I'm at a loss for here. My God.
Welcome to the channel, guys, and in today's video we're going to be diving more, exploring more in what you already saw from the initial clip, because these are black women that are married to other race, white race colonizers to be precise. coming to tell you guys what their experience is, and have it at the back of your mind that we're not saying that you should not get married to your white man, and we're not saying that those ones that got married to a white man are that evil, but these are married and relationship spa black women sharing their experience, and I want us to watch together. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also join my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And with that being said, let's go watch. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go, guys.
This TikTok video is for black women who are entertaining thinking about dating white men, or black women who have already stepped into that interracial dating process and are dating white men. One thing to think about is a lot of white men do not like to do things that are involving groups of black people. I'll give you an example. If you are a black woman and you like to go to black establishments where the majority of the people there are black, just be aware that your white partner may feel uncomfortable. You may feel uncomfortable. They might not want to go. So what happens a lot of times when black women date white men is they have to go into their world, the white man's world, which has, do a lot of things that he likes to do, versus him coming into her world and going into those barbecues with all the black people, or going into the bars or comedy shows or wherever, where there's a lot of black people, a black establishment. That's one thing to think about. And there's some white men out there that they don't mind. They don't mind being the only white man in the room. But the majority of them, you might, as a black woman, have to give that up, or go by yourself, or go without your white partner. If you want to know more about the 3 different kind of white men that date black women, buy my book, A White Man's Whore, available on Amazon. Or if you want a signed copy, I will leave my information, I think it's down here in the description. This is part 2, what a black woman can expect by interracial dating, and specifically dating white men. So at times, you have to be censored. If you are a black woman who is passionate about her people and like to talk about our issues, about injustice, about racism, or, just talk about black stuff, you might have to be censored. You might have to not talk about that with your white partner. That could bring issues in your relationship. If he is on the opposing side of some of the racial issues, it might be a problem. And you will have to think about what you say, how you deliver it. And also question your partner if he has opposing views on something as a black woman that you are very passionate about. You want to hear more about that? Get my book, A White Man's Whore, available on Amazon. If you'd like a signed copy, please contact me in the description that I will, in the description that I'll leave below. Please follow me on YouTube.
Dating while being a black woman is absolutely traumatizing, and let me tell you why. So I am currently seeing a guy who is white, and me and him, we planned this date where we were just gonna simply take a walk in the park. So I was dressed like this, okay, and when he picked me up, I saw that he wasn't dressed all extra sporty. I understand I'm like a sporty spice kind of gal. And he had asked me, he was like, hey, did you eat today? And I was like, no, I didn't. And then he was like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, I am actually. And then I was like, did you eat today? And he was like, no, I didn't. And then he was like, oh, well, maybe we should grab something to eat real quick. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm down for that. And then we pull up to a restaurant, and it's like this like high-end kind of place. It's like where all the business people go for like a quick brunch, lunch, or right after the office. So they're all like still dressed to the T. And then I looked over to him and I was like, I honestly don't feel confident right now because of how I'm dressed. And he was like, I promise you no one's gonna be thinking about you. And I was like, let's look around here. I don't mean to point this out, I don't mean to be that person, but I'm like the only black person in this area, and I'm dressed like this. Off rip, people, expect for black women to be like less than, because just because I'm black, they just expect for us to be less than. So if I go up in there dressed like I just rolled out of bed, like I just took a trip to freaking Walmart, I'm not even in my Target best, you know what I mean? That's not how I represent myself. And that's not how I'm gonna be a representation of my people. Feel me? A lot of, white men who choose to date Black women should be a little bit conscious of that when bringing us into predominantly white spaces. Okay, like, let us know beforehand so that way we can like feel our most confident. Okay, don't throw stereotypes on me as if I'm some kind of trailer trash, as if I'm some kind of like hood ratchet. I'm not from the hood, don't get it twisted. However, do you understand what I'm saying? It sucks. It's very traumatizing. It sucks. So I'm coming back from a date, and y'all would not believe what happened. This is part 2 of how traumatizing it is to date a white man as a Black woman. We went to the bar that's literally around the corner from my house. I've been there multiple times. We walk in, the bouncer looks at this dude's ID for a split second and gives it back to him. I give the guy my ID, he looks at it, and he puts it through the fucking machine to scan my ID and scan my identification. So as me and this dude walks over to the bar, I was like, oh, it's funny how he, scanned the ninja's ID. The dude that I'm with, that I've been seeing for like the last month, he's like, oh, I didn't notice anything. I was like, you didn't notice? Okay. Okay. And like me, I'm not the kind of person that's just gonna go ahead and like scream like racist, prejudice. But when things are blatant like that, like, okay, so you look at this white man's ID for a split second, give it back to him, immediately trusting him, like, yeah, one of us. But when you see the Black person, you look at it like, let's go ahead and scan this bad boy. Yep, scan her face right on in. Yep. There you go, ma'am.
So I was dating this white Romanian guy once, and it was through that relationship that I realized some white men date Black women because they don't feel validity and respected in their whiteness, especially if they're seen as off-white and not really, really white compared to like other like Northern European white men. I get it. Like, I got that, like, not all white people are viewed the same in white society, right? There are levels to whiteness. So, like, at the top of the white hierarchy might be, like, what was it? The Germans said the Aryans. So, like, the Northern Europeans, the Nordics, British people, and then, like, then maybe next level, you have, like, Spanish, Italian, white, like, blonde and blue-eyed people from like maybe Latin America and whatever, right? And you have white people from like Eastern Europe and Middle Easterns who are like maybe they still look white, but once you hear their names or once you hear their accents, they're like off-white in a sense. He really had this inferiority complex, and he told me that, being with because this was in the UK, he was like, being with white British women, like, they make me feel less than they make, I shouldn't laugh, they make me feel like shit. And he didn't say this exactly, he said this in other ways, but he received validation and white status in his relationships with Black women. So in a sense, he was dating down, and it helped me stop dating white men.
A lot of things that people don't talk about is that white husbands also get tired of their Black wives. Because I've seen this happen in front of my own 2 eyes on social media and other things that goes on in this world. That every time an argument happens that has to do with systematic racism or anything that's going on in the world, they like to hold the accountability over their white husband by saying, you will never understand what a Black woman has to go through day by day. You will never understand why they do things the way that they have to do it. You will never understand racism because of one thing: you are not Black. And that white man just sits there in silence and says nothing. And I don't see white men speaking up about this because they can't. If they spoke up about it, they'll be divorced.
For those women who fancy marrying white men, especially the white men who live in Nigeria, who come and they're living in Nigeria and they open businesses in Nigeria, sometimes there's something they do. They like to open businesses in your name and you're usually excited. You think it's a sign of love. So some of you will even go further to say these white men are better than Nigerian men. My darling, men all over the world are the same, right? These men actually open these businesses in your names in Nigeria, not as a sign of love, but because they are trying to use you. A lot of them are trying to evade tax and tax rates. So because they know that if you are a Nigerian, the rate at which the government will tax you will not be as high as the rate at which they will tax them as foreigners. So because of that, they will open the business in your name to evade that tax. Sometimes they may not even need to pay taxes if they open those businesses in your name, if the businesses are small. We know how the whole following up on taxing in Nigeria is. A lot of businesses escape it. These men can also commit certain crimes such as money laundering and drug trafficking with that business account without you knowing. And whenever it looks like smoke is coming out, they can either divorce you or they form the victims or they escape back to their countries and leave you in serious problem that can send you to jail for life or for a very long time. So better be careful. Men generally consider women as a resource. They can use you for anything at all, anything. And let's not even start about those ones who consider dating you. They consider it as a fetish. You can even see some people who are married to black women, but they are still racist. It still does not change much, right? It's just the disposition of the person about social issues that makes them different. But outside that, their characteristics are the same. And I know that sometimes our cultures also have a way of making men to be like extremely patriarchal, but that does not mean that white men are not patriarchal. There are some white men who, when you hear them talk, I'm telling you, Nigerian men even sound more exposed than them. This is not me giving glory to Nigerian men at all, because I do believe that all of them are the same, right? So I'm just trying to move your attention from focusing on white men, thinking as if these ones are actually one kind supermen. No, they are still the same men, right? So just because a white man wants to date you does not mean he cannot be racist. So the patriarchy is your problem as a woman.
My beautiful sisters from East Africa, especially from Kenya and Burundi, this video is for you. I'm on my knees. I'm a social worker. My name is Becky. I live in Sweden. I work a lot with families from Africa. Please, I'm on my knees begging. Most of these European men you are getting married to, they are not normal. They have some mental issue. The way nobody will stand there for you. The abused. They have to tell us every day. It's horrible. You don't need to go through that. That is not a way to escape poverty. That's not the way. That is not a gateway to enrich yourself. Stop it. This mozungu, or you call it what? You're getting married to European men with underlying issues that are beating you. They're destroying your body. They're doing all kinds of horrible things to you that they cannot do it to their white women. No journalist will stand there for you. No law enforcement officer will give you justice. No court will give you justice. No social worker will take sides with you. Instead, they will take advantage of you. They are removing your children. The so-called partner is beating you. They're doing all kinds of things with your body. We need to stop. We cannot go so low. We need to stop this thing. The complaints are so enormous. So many complaints. I feel sad what my African sisters are going through in the hands of European men. Kenyan sisters, please, if there's an NGO, try to talk to them. Talk to the young girls in Kenya. Talk to the women in Kenya, in Burundi, that they should be careful. They should be careful getting married to these European men. They call whether it's Muzungu or what. Most often, 80% of the time, it doesn't end up well. And if you see the way they treat our women, oh Lord, you will not believe. It's horrible. It's horrible. The complaints are so many. There are so many. They don't love us. Please, I'm on my knees. There's little we can do. I cannot count how many of them are in women's shelter, beaten by these men. I cannot count how many of these our mixed children that have been taken, abused, violated, used for all kinds of purposes. They don't even value the children you're having with them. So please, you need to be very careful.
Anyways, welcome back guys, and thank you so much for watching every single clip I was able to roll out for you guys. And you guys can literally hear from the horse's mouth their various experience, what they have personally gone through. the ugly side of dating a white man as a black woman, or of marrying a white man as a black woman. Now, let me put out a disclaimer here. I'm not saying that if you are married to a white man is a bad thing, and one thing I always know is experience differs. Okay, so as you're watching as a black woman and you're married to a white man, don't think I am judging you. We are not judgmental here, okay? But these are basically what some black women go through dating black men. Let's rephrase to the one that this lady talked about, especially for those ones in Nigeria, because we found out that a lot of African country, especially my country, Nigeria, a lot of them want to meet up with the mindset of, oh, I got married to a white man, I'm a white man's wife, I'm a white man's this, white man is my boyfriend, east, west, north and south, thinking that a lot of things that these white men do for them are basically their own advantage, while at the end of the day it is for their disadvantage. A lot of them come to Nigeria, open businesses in Nigeria with a black woman's name, knowing fully well that if you open business in Nigeria here, you're not going to be paying tax, okay? Or even if you're going to be paying tax because you're a Nigerian person with the company's name, it is going to be like lesser on your own part, and at the end of the day the woman will be thinking, oh, this white man loves me a lot. See, one thing the colonizers do is trying to look for a space to fit themselves and trying to make it look like they are helping you, while in real sense they are not helping you. They are trying to build themselves, help themselves, and also make themselves become something better and greater. And this is what a lot of black women, especially African black women that love to marry white men, literally go through, okay? And like you also hear from one of the clips that I just said, a lot of them are DRUG traffickers and so on and so forth, and at the end of the day they withdraw for the business and they put you in trouble. Notwithstanding, we still have some good white men there, because we've also seen marriages thriving with black marrying opposite sex or opposite race, and at the end of the day they're still coming out to say, oh, their white husband is the best. I've literally seen videos that this woman literally said the best thing that she has ever done for her life is getting married to a white man. Anyways, that's for them, but I don't think, as someone that I've literally studied history, blah blah blah, I really did not see myself marrying a colonizer. I'm sorry, I really do not see myself doing that, okay? And like I said, every experience differ. Let us know in the comment section, are you married to a white man? What is your own experience? Are you experiencing the same thing? Because you can also hear from other clips I've been able to roll out where some of these ladies literally do not even have that audacity of appearing fully in a predominantly white spaces and then being accepted. One said her boyfriend's ID card was not scanned, but the moment they collected her own as a black woman, it was literally scanned like back to back, just to ensure that yes, she is a human being, or to ensure, like, it's quite crazy, okay? I don't know how some of these people deal with it, but these are women sharing their experience. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you, liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also join my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be seeing, but I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.